Welcome back. I'm Erica Fernandez, and I'm joined here this morning by Travis Wahl, who is a Huron Pines Americorps member. Travis, thank you so much for being with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I know that you have a lot going on this summer with you in town and kind of being really involved with the youth and teaching them about the wildlife and the water and everything like that. So can you tell me a little bit about a camp that I know you visited this summer?
Right. So up in Presque-Isle, there was Camp Chickagami last week that covered a bunch of youth outdoor programs, and the sanctuary was part of that. And in that regard, I went up there to help kids learn how to snorkel and on top of a shipwreck. So we looked at the shipwreck, the Albany, out in Albany Bay, right across from Camp Chickagami. And what we did was we learned how to respect the shipwreck because this is a cultural resource, and we learned how to look at the different woodwork and craftsmanship of the shipwreck as well as the history of the shipwreck. So that's what we did at Camp Chickagami. And then they also came to the sanctuary where they learned about different things like our Science on a Sphere program, as well as learned about the museum center itself, where they took a tour around the museum center. So that was my week last week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so that's a great way for, I guess, them to also learn about the sanctuary, but outside of the sanctuary as well.
Absolutely.
So what about inside NOAA? I know that there's been activities going on this summer. What in particular have you been teaching?
So I've been talking about my research. So I lived in Hawaii to get my degree for 5 years. And while I was out there, I got in with a few professors that talked about and studied albatross. So albatross are a really large seabird that nest in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. And what happens is they go out and forage in the northern Pacific Oceans, but the only problem with that is that there's now this great garbage patch, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, located in the northern Pacific Ocean. And so they go out, feed within this garbage patch, and bring back this garbage for their chicks during nesting season, and they feed it to their chicks, which can end up killing the chicks and ruining the ecosystem of where they nest.
Right.
And so I brought that research from Hawaii to the museum center at Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary, where I'm going to be doing talks, and have been doing talks throughout the summer, about this research, how it's affecting the oceans, the wildlife. And today, from 3 to 5 at the sanctuary, I'll be doing a dissection of one of the albatross stomachs to see how much plastic is actually in that stomach.
Wow. And so what, as a community, and because we live here, what types of things can we do to help prevent, I guess, the birds being affected like that?
So my counterpart in this summer activity series at the sanctuary, Megan Goss, she's talking about things like the 3 R's, so reduce, reuse, recycle. So we're kind of counterintuitive or counterproductive here. So my activity series plays off of hers, and hers plays off of mine. So we can learn how to reduce, reuse, recycle the plastics that we do have, as well as figuring out what we can do to reduce our plastic consumption. And then we talk about how that affects the wildlife. So I announced the problem and she announced the solution. So there's kind of that play off right there.
Oh, that's great. So it's really interesting to see how our actions can really affect the wildlife, and how it's good to be taught how we can preserve the wildlife as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if anybody's interested in attending this next series, when is your next series?
So my next one is today from 3 to 5, and it runs for the next week and a half. So we're in our final weeks of the summer activity series. So if anybody hasn't gotten a chance to yet, now's the time, because it's going to be gone for a while.
All right, and these activities are free as well, so just stop by the sanctuary.
Absolutely.
Anybody who's interested can attend the sanctuary today from 3 to 5 to hear about how you can preserve the wildlife. All right, thank you so much for being here, Travis. I appreciate it. Sports is next with John Scheidler. Stay right here on WBKB 11 for all that and more as the news continues.